Coming up on Sports Desk, at the World Curling Championships, Rick Folk and Sandra Peterson try to sweep the Germans. Ray Bourque returns as the Bruins open the playoffs against Le Canadiens. Ken Hill tries to climb the Rockies and go to 3-0. And it's a shootout in the West as the Spurs try to eclipse the Suns.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sports Desk. I'm Chris Seedens. It's semifinal Saturday at the World Curling Championships in Germany. Both Canadian rinks finishing the round robin with 8-1 records. That was good enough for first place in the women's draw, but only second place on the men's side. We'll start with the women's draw. First of all, Sandra Peterson knows what it takes to win a world title. Her Regina rink did it last year, but if she wanted to make it 2 straight world titles, she would first have to knock off Germany in today's semifinal action. Sandra Peterson, a solid 8-1 round robin.
The shot was wide open.
But you know, it's all down to this now. Sudden death in the semis. First end, Canada with the hammer. Peterson hits and sticks for 2. 2-0 Canada after one end. The second end, Canada would steal one. Earlier in the frame, German skip Josephine Einzel makes the double take-up, but can't hold the shooter. That would cost her. Fourth end now, and Canada up 3-1. They would add another, thanks to bounces like this one. Peterson shot hits and hides behind the guard. Peterson actually missed an open draw for 2. In the sixth end, 4-2 Canada. Einzel, the German skip. Fine raise here. She lined 2 and would steal 2, and Peterson misses with the hammer. In the seventh end, Canada would retake the lead thanks to shots like this one. Peterson with an excellent double takeout. Canada up 5-4 after 7 complete. Go to the eighth end now. Trouble for Germany. Josephine Einzel with the hammer, but she can't knock out the shot rock. Canada steals 2, takes a commanding 7-4 lead. In the 10th end, 7-6 Canada, Germany lying 1, but Peterson with the hammer knocks out the German stone and takes 3. 10-6 Canada wins it, and Canada now advances to the final with a hard-fought win over the host team from Germany. The other women's semifinal had Scotland down Sweden 10-6. Here is the final matchup. It is Canada against Scotland. Linda Moore spoke with Canadian skip Sandra Peterson about meeting Scotland in the final, a team they beat back in round-robin competition.
Well, we had a great game against them in the round robin. They didn't play very well, so I would imagine that they'll probably play better tomorrow, but we'll pick up our play and we'll be ready to play tomorrow for sure.
We can tell you both Canadians face Germany in today's semifinal round. We'll move on now to the men's side. Rick Folk lost his first game of the tournament, but has been picture perfect ever since. He was hoping that would continue this afternoon and that he could earn a shot at a second world title. Of course, he won back in the 80s. There's a look at Rick Folk. Pat Ryan can't take Germany lightly, despite beating Andy Capp's rink in the round robin. Second end, no score, and Andy Capp takes advantage of some early Canadian mistakes. Hits, sticks for 2, 2-0 Germany. Fourth end now, 2-1 Germany. Andy Capp can't knock out the shot rock. As a result, Canada steals 1. We're tied at 2. Fifth end, Germany would retake the lead. They wound up scoring 1 as earlier in the end, Canada's third, Pat Ryan, just missed the double takeout. Sixth end, maybe the shot of the match. Canada down 3-2, takes the lead 4-3 as skipper Rick Folk hits and sticks for 2. Great shot by the Canadian skip. 4-3 Canada after 6. German skip Andy Capp knows that the tide has turned. Ninth end now, 5-4 Canada. Germany wants to blank the end, but the rock just doesn't curl. They hit and stick for 1. Match tied at 5. 10th end, Germany lying 1, but Folk with the hammer. He hits and sticks for the win. 6-5 Canada as Rick Folk advances to the final with a hard-fought win over Germany. So both Canadian skips coming up with wins over Germany on this day. The other men's semifinal had Sweden down Switzerland. It was a busy day for Sweden. They had to beat USA in a tiebreaker to advance to this semifinal match. They will now advance to meet Canada in Sunday's final. And our Vic Rowder spoke with Canadian skip Rick Folk.
Congratulations to Rick Folk, who told me earlier in the week, you know, it's been 14 years since you had the opportunity to win a world championship, and you were going to do everything you could to win a second. And you did it here in this game. I thought that shot, the quiet tap back for 2 was the key.
That definitely was. We struggled early on in the game, and we had the chance to get the 2 and 6 to go 1 up, and that was a big shot for us and a big 2 points.
All right, you're facing Sweden in the final. Your thoughts on Nassen?
We had a real tough game with him, you know, on our last game in the round robin. I went right down the last rock, and I would expect to make tomorrow. I just found out that we lost the toss again, so you know, We haven't done too well with last year out there. So.
No, but the other thing is, though, you've won the games. That's 9 in a row. You dropped the opener against Marcus Egler in the very first draw, and now rattled off 9 in a row.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we played
So
well.
who cares about coin toss?
Well, I just don't like the idea of having to wait 5 or 6 ends to get the lead there. I'd rather jump out ahead and dictate the game a little bit more than what we have been doing. So, but we'll do what we have to do.
Congratulations. Wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Rick. Rick Folk will be into the final as he plays Sweden, and the other Canadian team, Sandra Peterson, looking for her second straight World Championship. Linda goes up against Scotland and Christine Cannon, who's very experienced.
Well, she is, and Scotland have actually played very well. And the game against Germany, this semi-final, had a few scary moments. Canada's playing well, but they're going to have to really watch it with Scotland because they are aggressive. They will come after you. A fairly high-scoring game against Sweden, actually.
I think what was impressive about Canada and Peterson, the entire team, when they got down a little bit and you could see the momentum shift, they were able to handle it.
Yeah, they were. They're a very good team, every aspect of the game. And there's Joan McCusker in the front end saying, let's go get them. Let's make sure we don't lose this game. They had a fairly easy shot with the last one to take it, but they're going to have to play well, as I said, in the final.
So 2 Canadian teams are in the final of these World Curling Championships, and we wish the best of luck to both Sandra Peterson and Rick Folk.
Okay, thank you. A quick break now on Sports Desk. Still to come, all the baseball action from this afternoon, including the Expos and Rockies at Mile High Stadium in Denver. The Expos were burned last night, 9-2, and were burned again today by a former Expo, Andres the Big Cat Galarraga. And the NHL playoffs are back. So is All-Star defenseman Ray Bourque. The Bruins face the Habs. We've got a preview when we come back. Welcome back to Sports Desk. We're just over an hour away from the start of the NHL playoffs. The Montreal Canadiens and Boston Bruins getting things started a day earlier than everyone else because the Boston Garden isn't available tomorrow. The big story entering this game, Bruins captain Ray Bourque. He will play tonight. Bourque missed the Bruins' last 11 games due to a knee injury. His return to the lineup should spark the underdog Bruins as they renew this rivalry, a rivalry that has not lost, or there is not lost, on the Bruins' superstar defenseman. Here's what he had to say.
So it's easy to get up for these guys. You know, you're playing a great hockey team with great tradition, and you know, for me, you know, it's always a blast because I'm from Montreal, and it's kind of extra special for me. So we'll have fun with it.
I know when I wasn't even here, it was exciting to watch the two teams play. So anybody watching the game, fans, whatever, you know, level of intensity and everything seems to go up 3 or 4 notches when the two teams play.
Both the Bruins and the Canadiens are backing into the playoffs this year. The Bruins wrapped up the season losing 4 of their last 7, while Montreal managed just 3 wins in its last 12 games. With more on the Habs, let's join TSN's Michael Whalen.
As irony would have it, the Canadiens chose the Raymond Bourque Arena in his native Saint Laurent to hold their last practice before their opener against the Bruins. Now, most players choose to grow facial hair for good luck during the playoffs, but a younger-looking Jacques Demers has decided to take the opposite route.
My wife doesn't like it, but we'll see what happens. One thing I could do is grow it back.
Demers, no doubt, is looking for any kind of edge to turn his team around. The Habs finished the season off with a brutal 9-0 loss to the Detroit Red Wings, the second worst defeat in the team's history, and that loss went along with Montreal's terrible road record through the last 2 months of the regular season.
I'm not a person that lives in the past or a negative person by nature, so it's a tremendous challenge, and I want them to understand that we're going on the road, and we have to, you want to win something, you have to, in the playoffs, you have to win on the road.
Not only were the players reminded of Raymond Bourque as they skated in the arena named after him, but his potential presence in this series was very much in front of everybody's thoughts as they readied themselves to meet the Bruins.
We're preparing ourselves to play the Bruins with Raymond Bourque, and he's tough. I mean, let's face it, he gets 350 shots a year. You know, 90% of their offense comes from their D, deployment, him and Sweeney. Wesley, you know, it's not just Bourque, it's a whole contingency back there, but he is going to be the main guy to try and counter our attack.
A lot of their offense comes from the point. They take a lot of shots from there, especially with Al Freddie, and now with Boston. We have to be concerned with their fourth man coming in, and you know, their defense is certainly a big key in the series. We got to be on them as much as we can.
There's a French expression that goes, plus que ça change, plus que c'est la même chose, which loosely translates to the more things change, the more they remain the same. And that's certainly true of this up-and-coming series, because despite the NHL's better efforts at realignment and a change in the playoff format, This will be the 9th time in the last 10 years that the Bruins and Canadiens have met in the NHL playoffs. Michael Whalen, TSN from the Raymond Bourque Arena in Saint Laurent, Quebec.
Thank you, Michael. Team Canada has added 2 more forwards for the World Hockey Championships coming up later this month. Centers Mike Ricci and Joe Sakic of the Quebec Nordique have been added to the list, headed to Italy. 9 spots are still open on the team. Glenn Sather says he expects to have the final 23-man roster in place within the next week. Okay, to baseball now. The Montreal Expos continuing a weekend series against the Colorado Rockies. Last night, Ellis Burks hit an inside-the-park home run, helping the Rockies to a big 9-2 win over the Expos. Montreal has lost the opener in all 4 of their series so far this season. They started the day 2 games under 500 and tied for last place in the National League East Division. Let's go to the highlights now. And the Rockies hatched their new mascot at Mile High Stadium before today's game. Actually, I don't know if he's new or not. Pick up this one in the 3rd. Rockies leading 1-0. Moises Alou will drive one off the wall in center field. Larry Walker scores on the Alou double. It's a tie game, 1 apiece. The next batter is Cliff Floyd. Floyd strikes with a single up the middle. Alou comes around to count, and the Expos are now up 2-1. But the Rockies answer right back. 4th inning now, and Eric Young with the infield hit. Dante Bichette comes around to score. And with that, the game is tied at 2. Don Baylor in the Colorado dugout looking for someone to provide some big offense, and he gets it. 7th inning. Game tied at 3. Former Montreal Expo, now Colorado Rocky, the big cat, Andres Galarraga takes Mel Roja deep over the left field wall with the bases loaded. That's a grand slam home run. 7-3 Rockies. 2 of Galarraga's 4 career grand slams have come against, guess who? The Montreal Expos. Expos dropped the last place in the National League East Division. They are now 4-7. The big cat coming back to do some damage. On to Wrigley Field now. Kent Merker, who's looking for another great outing on the mound. Bottom of the 2nd, Merker sharp fanning Sean Dunston. Next inning, Merker strikes out Ryan Sandberg swinging. That ends the inning. Top of the 4th now, Terry Pendleton steps to the plate and connects with this Willie Banks pitch. It's off the wall. That double will score 2 runs. Atlanta on top 2-0. The Braves with some great defense in this one as well. Deion Sanders with a nice catch up against the wall as he denies Sean Dunston. Beautiful catch. Top of the 6th now with 2 down. Javier Lopez with the single to left. That scores Plesko and McGriff for the Braves. 4-0 Atlanta. And let's check out the score in this one now. Chicago would add 1 run. 4-1 the final. McMichael with his 3rd save for the Braves. Braves improving to 9-0 on the road. They've lost just 1 game in all this season. Cubs 0-5 start at Wrigley Field is their worst since 1957 when they started 0-8. Out of the Astros and the Mets now, Shea Stadium in the Big Apple. 2nd inning, Todd Hundley takes Brian Williams to the gap. Left center field. 2 runs come around to score on this home run. It's not a home run. Just off the wall. 2-0 Mets in front. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th now. Fernando Vina. Comebacker at Williams. Todd Hundley comes around to count. And it's New York up 3-0. Later in the 5th, David Segui hits the ground ball. 2 more runs coming to count. Mets now in control, 6-0. On the hill for New York this afternoon, Doc Gooden, and he looked good. Strikes out Willie Gonzalez. Pitched 6 shutout innings. Mets rout the Astros to the tune of 9-1. Steve Finley with his 2nd home run for Houston. Mike Maddox with his 2nd save for the Mets. Doc Gooden went 6 shutout innings in his first appearance since opening day. It was also his 300th game as a New York Met. Another quick break now on TSN Sportsdesk. Up next, we'll turn our focus to the American League story, including a look back on the Blue Jays' debacle last night in Anaheim, and looking forward to some games this afternoon, including the Tigers entertaining the Yankees. Also, the Suns and the Spurs do battle at San Antonio. NBA highlights still to come on Sportsdesk. Toronto Blue Jays are finding out just how important a healthy Dwayne Ward is. Last night, the Jays carried a 13-6 lead into the 9th inning, but the closing crew of Timlin, Stottlemyre, and Brow couldn't hold the 7-run lead. It was ugly. Mike Timlin started the 9th inning with what appeared to be a very comfortable lead, but that would change. 1-1 already in, bases loaded. He walks Chad Curtis, and a run comes in. That was enough for Cito with the score in 13-8. He goes to the pen, calls him Todd Stottlemyre, and Stottlemyre finds himself in hot water. He allows 2 runs. Base is still loaded. Harold Reynolds goes deep to right field over Joe Carter's head, bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. 2 runs come in to score, and yes, Cito Gaston can't believe what he's seeing. The inning ends with the game tied at 13. Bottom of the 10th now. Scott Brow in for the Jays, and he's in trouble. With 2 out, 2 on, he gives up his single to left field to Damian Easley. Tim Salmon comes in to score. The Angels come back to beat the Blue Jays. The final score, 14-13. It was ugly. That's the way it finished. The Jays have lost 4 of 5 on the road this week. They've got 2 more in Anaheim before returning to Sky Dome on Tuesday. We'll have tonight's game live here on TSN beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 Pacific time. Let's go to some action from this afternoon now. The Tigers and Yankees, the Motor City, and Bobby Ojeda on the hill for New York, trying to get his career back on track. But he is rocked early on. Tony Phillips leads off the bottom of the first, drives one deep off the upper deck, facing in left field. It's 1-0 Detroit. This game featuring some great defense. Mike Gallego lines one to right. Danny Bautista with a great diving grab. Move to the 6th inning now. It's 4-1 Tigers. Matt Noakes crushes this Tim Belcher pitch. This one to the upper deck in right field. It's a 2-run blast. Noakes does some damage against his former team. Tigers lead is cut to 4-3. Sparky Anderson not too happy with his club blowing the early lead. This goes to the 11th. Tied at 4. Travis Fryman hits it to the left side. Juan Samuel running from second. He'll come in to score. Tigers win it 5-4 in 11 innings. Noakes and Phillips with the home runs. Bobby Ojeda made his first appearance of the year and only lasted 2 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs and 4 hits. On to Cleveland now. Chris Haney on the mound for Kansas City. Bottom of the 1st inning, he is rocked. Paul Sorrento singles to left field. This will score 2 runs. Indians jump out in front. It's 3-0. Go to the top of the 3rd now. It's 5-2 Cleveland. Wally Joyner with the blooper to center. Vince Coleman, Brian McRae come around to score on the plate. Kansas City closes the gap. It's now 5-4. And to the top of the 5th, 8-5 Cleveland. Bob Hamlin drives this one. Mark Clark offering over the wall in center field. Game is tied at 8. Top of the 8th now. Game tied at 9. Omar Vizquel drops this routine fly ball. 3rd error of the game for Vizquel. Allows Wally Joyner and Mike McFarland to come around to score. 11-9 Kansas City. Mike Hargrove can't believe his eyes. Got to cover his eyes, in fact. The final score was 12-9. McFarland and Hamlin with the home runs for Kansas City. Jim Thome with his 2nd of the season for Cleveland. Billy Brewer with his first save. Royals' Bob Hamlin drove in a career-high 5 RBI in this one. This game postponed because of rain in the Boston area. No word yet on when it will be made up. Let's move on to Oakland now. Tony La Russa's A's looking to bash the Twins this afternoon. 1st inning, Mark McGuire with a single to right field. Stan Javier scores. It's 1-0 A's in front. Later in the 1st, Geronimo Baroa down the line. Nice defensive play by Chip Hale. That scores Ruben Sierra. And it's 2-0 Oakland. Still in the 1st. Terry Steinbach, deep center field. 4th home run of the year for him. 5-0 A's at this point. And the A's would cruise to an 8-3 win. Roblet and Puckett with the home runs for Minnesota. Steinbach with a pair of home runs, 4 RBIs in this game as well. And McGuire with a home run as well for Oakland. Okay, to the NBA now, where the Phoenix Suns were looking to close the gap on San Antonio for the 3rd playoff spot in the Western Conference this afternoon. The Suns trailing the Spurs by a game and a half as the two squared off. Phoenix had won 8 of its last 11, but have struggled on the road as of late. The Spurs fans complaining, rather campaigning for David Robinson. Wouldn't be complaining about his play. Looked like he was on early. Admiral hits the 17-footer. Coach Lucas jumps up, likes what he sees. The roof caved in for the Suns early. Literally, one of David Robinson's banners from the ceiling started to come down. Didn't stop them from racing the roof. Rodman, it's a rare 3-pointer. Check out the reaction. San Antonio by 2. Suns rose to the occasion. Marley picks up the turnover. Takes it in for the jam. Spurs answer right back. Robinson to Rodman on the break. Worm puts down the jam. San Antonio by 2. Late 4th quarter. Suns take the lead. AC Green hits from the top. Phoenix up by 3. Dying seconds of this game. Willie Anderson with a chance to tie it up, but it rims out. John Lucas thought he had it. Suns hold on to win this game by 2 points. 96-94 was the final. Suns moved to within a half game of the Spurs for 3rd seed in the West. It was Seattle downing Houston 100-97. Sonics become the first team to reach the 60-win plateau this season. They are 60-18 and on fire. Alonzo Mourning of the Charlotte Hornets has been suspended for 1 game and fined $7,500. That for initiating a fight with Chicago center Luke Longley in a game yesterday against the Bulls. Longley was fined $4,000 for retaliating. Both players also received an automatic $250 fine for their ejections. And one more timeout now on Sports Desk. When we come back, we'll take you to Palm Beach Gardens, Florida for the second major of the Senior PGA Tour. Highlights from the Senior PGA Championship still to come. Canadian doubles team of Sebastian Leroux and Daniel Nestor were knocked off in the semifinals of the Salem Open. That was in Hong Kong. They lost to number 3 seeds Jonas Bjorkman and Patrick Rafter. Rafter is also into the final in the singles portion of this event. After an upset win over Yvonne Lendl, he will now face Michael Chang in the final. To golf now, Ray Floyd and Larry Mowry share the lead entering today's 3rd round of the PGA Seniors Championship in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Both players excuse me, at 6 under par. Lee Trevino, Jim Colbert, and Dave Stockton all just 1 stroke back. This is, of course, the second major of the Senior Tour this season. We'll start with a look at Tour favorite, Chichi Rodriguez. This is his approach on 18. Chichi is in birdie range. And you know what that means. If he sinks it, that's right. Chichi does the dance. He finishes at 2 under par. Now let's check out the leader, Ray Floyd, for birdie on 15. And he drains it to move to 9 under par. Dave Stockton was 1 off the pace, at least until he hit the 17th hole. Found the water, decided to play it. The ball sailed into the gallery. He went from 1 off the pace to 3 back. Remember, yesterday he had an 8 on a par 3. Now back to Ray Floyd. He was in the bunker on 17, but watch this recovery off the stick. Can't get much closer than that, can you? Well, Lee Trevino can. Same bunker on 17. He does one better than Floyd as he holds this one. And his reaction says it all. He's one happy golfer. Ray Floyd is on top of the leaderboard right now by 2 strokes over Lee Trevino. Floyd with a 69 this afternoon. Dave Stockton, a 71 this afternoon. He sits at 6 under par. Ray Floyd, by the way, looking for his 2nd major title in the last 3 weeks. The best way to view the Heritage Classic is the bird's eye view, of course. Hilton Head, South Carolina. Hale Irwin also soaring, drains this uphill putt for birdie on 13. He's tied for the lead at 13 under. Russ Cochran, par 3, 14th, super tee shot within a couple feet of the pin. Nice touch by Cochran, and he has the birdie opportunity. Would not waste the chance. Steps up, sinks the bird, and takes sole possession at 14 under par. The Shark always lurking. Great approach to number 15, and he sticks this one nicely. He is in birdie range as well, and he will convert. Another birdie for Norman. He goes to 13 under par and is well within range. Let's check out the leaderboard now as it stands through the 3rd round. Hale Irwin is on top. He is at 15 under par, 2 strokes up on Greg Norman and Russ Cochran, both at 13 under par. Estes and Frost both at 10 under par. Dave Barr is the only Canadian to tell you about. He is well back, 10 strokes off the pace. The LPGA stop this week is the Atlanta Women's Championship in Stockbridge, Georgia, and Judy Dickinson is the leader right now at 7 under par. Beth Daniel is 2 strokes back, as is Skinner and Neumann, both still on the course. Tina Toombs is at +1, the only Canadian. Qualifying continues for tomorrow's IndyCar race in Long Beach, California. Nigel Mansell earned the pole position, the provisional pole yesterday, but defending champion Paul Tracy won today's qualifying and will have the pole for Sunday's race. Let's take a look at the pole for the race. Paul Tracy, number 1. Al Unser Jr. is in at number 2. Fittipaldi 3 and Mansell 4. As for the other Canadians, Jacques Villeneuve, who was in the front row last week, is number 14 this week. Scott Goodyear from Toronto is at number 15. Ayrton Senna has earned the pole for tomorrow's inaugural running of the Pacific Grand Prix. That's in Japan. Michael Schumacher will start in the number 2 slot. We'll have the race for you bright and early tomorrow morning as part of our Super Sunday here on TSN. At 1 p.m. Eastern, then it's off to NHL action. The Islanders against the Rangers from Madison Square Garden. Then at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, the Blue Jays against the Angels, live from Anaheim. We'll try and sneak in a sports desk, time permitting, of course, because at 7:30 Eastern, it's more NHL action. It's off to Pittsburgh for the Caps against the Penguins. And wrapping up the day, the Women's World Hockey Championships from Lake Placid, New York, Canada against the USA. It's all part of Super Sunday, and it's only right here on TSN. And once again, we have Blue Jays action tonight. The Jays against the Angels live beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on TSN. I'm Chris Sedens. Thanks for joining us on On behalf of the entire crew, we'll see you again tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern. Enjoy your evening, everyone.
Promotional consideration provided by Columbia Sportswear, designed for style and versatility, engineered for fit and value.